It started as a routine maintenance check until a tiny error in a door seal threatened to turn every A320 flight into a potential disaster at 35,000 feet. Now 15,000 flights are canceled, 2.8 million travelers are stranded, and airlines across the world are scrambling to ground over 3,000 jets. How did a single defect unleash the largest aviation recall of the decade, and what is still hidden behind the emergency order? A door on a modern jetliner looks simple from the outside, but the science behind its seal is anything but. Each A320 relies on dozens of fasteners tightened to exact torque values to keep the door sealed tight against a pressure difference that can reach over 8 pounds per square inch at cruising altitude. Even a small deviation, a bolt left just a fraction too loose, can open a gap invisible to the naked eye. At 35,000 feet, that gap becomes a weak point against the force of the pressurized cabin. Air inside the plane pushes outward with tremendous energy, seeking any escape route. If the seal fails, decompression is instant, violent, and potentially deadly. The physics are unforgiving. A sudden loss of pressure can rip the door from its frame, pulling anything and anyone nearby into the sky. This is not a theoretical risk. Past disasters, like the DC-10 cargo door failure in 1974, and more recent incidents involving other aircraft, have shown how a single faulty latch or misapplied torque can trigger catastrophe. A320's maintenance manuals specify torque settings down to the decimal, with checks and double checks built into every inspection. But in this case, routine maintenance uncovered torque readings far below standard. That was enough to allow the seal to flex under pressure. The discovery forced engineers to confront a chilling possibility. Thousands of aircraft might be flying with the same microscopic flaw, each one a potential disaster waiting for the right conditions. That is why every aircraft built over a 5-year span now faces urgent inspection, and why the industry is treating this as a race against time. Regulators moved at unprecedented speed. Within hours of the defect's discovery, airworthiness authorities issued a global directive. Every Airbus A320 built from 2019 to 2024 must be grounded and inspected before returning to service. The order applied to 3,200 aircraft, spread across 150 airlines on 6 continents. For airlines, the numbers were staggering. 15,000 flights canceled over 3 days, leaving 2.8 million passengers without seats. Compliance was not optional. The directive made clear that no aircraft could carry passengers until a certified inspection confirmed the door's integrity. Airlines scrambled to coordinate logistics, reroute crews, and notify travelers. Maintenance teams faced an overwhelming backlog, as each aircraft required a detailed check of every door assembly. The scale of the operation dwarfed anything in recent memory. In a matter of hours, what began as a technical concern inside a maintenance hangar had triggered a worldwide standstill. From regional carriers with a handful of jets to global giants operating hundreds, the mandate hit every operator equally. Regulators left no room for delay. Inspections had to begin immediately, with documentation submitted for each aircraft before it could return to the skies. The industry's reliance on a single aircraft type became a vulnerability overnight, exposing the fragility of global air travel when a key model is suddenly removed from service. Airports and airlines now face a logistical crisis with no easy solution. American Airlines issued an order to ground nearly 300 A320s, leaving entire terminals empty and forcing last-minute reassignments for thousands of crew members. EasyJet responded by halting all flights for 2 days, wiping out its schedule across Europe and leaving airports from Gatwick to Milan lined with idle jets. Ryanair faced a tidal wave of cancellations, with 500,000 travelers stranded and customer service lines jammed for hours. Southwest, with no Airbus planes left in service, scrambled to rebook passengers onto its all-Boeing fleet, but available seats vanished within minutes. At Los Angeles International, more than 200 aircraft sat motionless on the apron, creating a bottleneck that rippled through every concourse. Heathrow's operations center declared an emergency, rerouting arriving flights and warning of gridlock on the taxiways. Frankfurt's ground staff struggled to find parking for grounded planes as the main runway became a storage yard. In Dubai, air traffic control redirected all incoming A320 flights to distant stands, turning the world's busiest international hub into a maze of detours and delays. Travelers slept on terminal floors, watched departure boards flicker with cancellations, and lined up for rebooking as announcements echoed through the halls. The scale of disruption stretched from ticket counters to baggage carousels, as the world's busiest airports strained under the sudden paralysis of a global fleet. Every grounded A320 now waits for a specialized inspection, but the industry faces a bottleneck that no amount of urgency can clear overnight. Each door requires a painstaking 8-hour inspection, measuring torque on every fastener, verifying calibration records, and documenting results for regulators. Across the globe, only about 500 technicians hold the certification to perform this work. These teams are stretched thin, moving from one aircraft to the next, often working around the clock, but unable to speed up the process without risking errors. The math is relentless. With thousands of planes and only a handful of skilled workers, even the most optimistic estimates put a full fleet inspection at 3 weeks or longer. Airlines cannot simply swap in replacement jets because there are no spare aircraft available at this scale, and every short-term charter is already spoken for, with prices soaring to 10 times the usual rate. Some governments are weighing the use of military transport to fill the gap, but that solution brings its own complications. The shortage of qualified labor, combined with the sheer time required for each inspection, means delays are locked in for weeks. The pressure now falls not just on airlines, but on the entire maintenance workforce, as the clock ticks and the world waits for the A320 to return to service. A confidential memo dated March 2023 surfaced inside Airbus headquarters, raising concerns about door assembly procedures on the A320 line. The document, authored by an anonymous engineer, flagged inconsistent torque values, recorded during random audits, numbers that did not match the official specifications. According to sources familiar with the matter, at least 3 separate incidents involving minor door seal anomalies were logged over the next year, none of which reached the desks of European regulators. The memo circulated quietly among managers, but no formal recall or notification followed. It was not until a whistleblower contacted the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, EASA, that the pattern came to light. EASA responded by launching a formal inquiry, requesting all internal communications and maintenance records related to door integrity. Legal experts now warn that if Airbus withheld information about a known risk, the company could face charges extending beyond regulatory fines. The investigation is ongoing, with regulators demanding full transparency. Airbus shares plunged as news of the recall spread, wiping out billions in market value within hours. The company's stock fell 18% before trading was halted, erasing months of gains in a single morning. Analysts scrambled to revise forecasts as the financial toll mounted. Airlines now face an estimated $2.5 billion in direct cancellation costs, with daily losses climbing past $340 million per day as grounded jets sit idle. Compensation claims are expected to flood in from carriers and passengers alike, compounding the pressure on already strained balance sheets. Meanwhile, Boeing seized the moment. Within 24 hours, the American manufacturer logged 400 new orders for its 737 MAX series, as airlines desperate for capacity sought alternatives. The sudden shift in market momentum left Airbus reeling, investors on edge, and the entire aviation sector bracing for a long, costly recovery. Passengers facing cancellations or delays have important rights under EU 261 and under the US Department of Transportation rules. Before heading to the airport, check your flight status directly with your airline. Do not rely on third-party alerts. If your flight is canceled, keep receipts for hotels, meals, and transportation. These records are essential for claiming compensation, which can reach up to $7,000 per person, depending on the route and delay length. Airlines are required to offer rebooking or refunds, and you may also be entitled to additional compensation for out-of-pocket expenses. File claims promptly through the airline's official website and reference your booking details and receipts. If you encounter difficulties, regulatory agencies in your region can assist. Knowing your rights and documenting everything is the best way to protect yourself during this unprecedented disruption. As aviation faces its most disruptive safety crisis in decades, Millions now glimpse how a single engineering failure can ground a global system overnight. Every boarded flight is a trust, one that must be earned, not assumed. The true test of that trust begins now. Share your take below.